Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Mother Majestic Show. My name is Patrice Thomas. I will be your host today. I am standing in for Mother Harriet, and today we are going to have a good conversation. And we have Keisha Credit from Rise. Keisha, are you there?
I'm here.
Thank you for joining us. I appreciate that. So, Keisha, we're gonna get started. I'm gonna ask you to tell us about Rise.
Yeah, so RISE is a nonprofit organization. It stands for Resilient and Sustaining Empowerment. And we focus on healing the divides that can occur in a family after gun violence has happened, especially when there are children involved.
And can you tell me about yourself, Keisha? How did you get involved with Rise?
Yes, so I am the deputy director at Rise. I became involved with Rise a few years back through Therapy Fund Foundation. I sit on the board. They're an amazing organization that offers free therapy for people. And so through them, we were doing a event hosted, I believe, from Rise. Um, and they were asking for members of Therapy Fund to come and speak. And so I didn't know much about Rise. My father was murdered when I was 2 years old. So when I learned about what we were going to be talking about, it was the first time that I had really spoke on that. I do public speaking quite frequently in my entrepreneurial career. So it was different to be interacting in a space like this. So flash forward years later, positions opened up and it made sense for me to become the deputy director at Rise. I decided to take a break from entrepreneurship for a little bit,
Mhm.
and I've been really enjoying it.
Well, that is great. That's awesome because I have experience. I know I have two kids that passed through the gun violence, but 10 years before that, I had two. My kids' father have passed away. So I have experienced raising kids that have lost their fathers. And it's just sad. Sorry to hear that. I'm trying to pull up the questions. I'm just gonna just wing it right now. So tell me about what do you feel can we can the city help with, the kids and mothers and fathers that have lost someone due to gun violence, Keisha?
Yeah, so currently Rise has a few different opportunities in ways that we would love for the community to be involved. So, coming up in December, we have our Holiday Hope Drive, which is a brilliant time to just shed light in some of the families that may be experiencing grief due to gun violence. So, we're really working hard to expand the Holiday Hope Drive and raise money as well as collecting toys and donations for the Holiday Hope Drive. So right now we're really in a season of preparing for next year. So our community really can show up by supporting programming, learning more about Rise, and sending families that may also be constituents of Rise.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Okay. So, what your organization has made strides in addressing gun violence. What inspired its creation, and what does your mission focus on?
So, our mission is to support families that have endured gun violence and specifically those who have lost a parent. So, our organization was founded by Lanaya Grayson, who is still our executive director. And she really wanted to, in the beginning, establish a way for people to have different resources. And then when she endured tragedy, when the tragic murder of her daughter's father.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's when she pivoted the organization to really focus on the children of gun violence because it's a huge gap and it's often a community that can be easily put into a category of uncategorized.
Right. All right. So the next one will be for those listening who may not be involved yet, what do you think is the most rewarding part of working with your organization?
Hmm. I think I'm pretty new to Rise. I just started in August, so it's difficult to say what someone is going to experience because I haven't experienced all of the things that Rise has to offer. I think Rise is such a unique and blossoming organization that's going to look different for everybody. And I think that I'm too new to say what exactly someone should expect because there's things that we have that may fit certain certain people that would be great for them that we just haven't gotten into yet in my time in being here. So it's difficult to say.
Right. Right. We are going to go. Okay. As we move close to 2025, what is your organization plans for addressing gun violence and supporting the impacts of families?
We have a lot of growing goals for 2025. We're
Mhm.
definitely still formulating how we're going to pivot our organization to sow in more seeds of joy into families. That is a definite need in our community. So we have definitely got some really big things coming up for 2025. I really want our families to tune in with Rise and, connect with us. Through registering online via our website so that we can be the first to let you know about our new updates because I really want more families that have been affected to be helped and positioned. However, some of those things are coming out in 2025 and may continue to evolve. So, some of the things we do now, we may not be doing in the future, but we're going to add on some really great things as well. So, I'd love if families would connect with us so we can share some of those things when they're ready to launch.
Yes, Rice is a great organization. I'm really good friends with Lanaya, and they're doing great work in the community to support the families and the kids that have lost their fathers, mothers, and sisters and brothers. Yes, I love Rise.
Yeah.
What are some of the success you have in the past year, and how do you measure the impact of the work in the community?
Yeah, I don't think that I saw this question and it's difficult for me because
Yeah.
I've only been here since August. So far since August, we've done some really great things like Cities United. We were the largest site visit that they've had in the history of the conference. And I actually got to speak in front of like 900 people. It was amazing. Um, so I can personally say that was definitely the highlight for me, imparting on the Haiku and things of that nature. But yeah, I haven't experienced enough of Rise to say like this is the highlight for a year. I've only been here, what, 4 months?
Okay, great. What are some of the challenges your organization face in its goals, and how can the community help support your efforts?
Yeah, definitely. Some of the challenges that Rise faces is having the staff that has the bandwidth to take the organization to the structures that it needs to go. I think that we are a growing organization with a very specific viewpoint that requires a specific type of person. So, as we're doing growing and development, it's difficult to figure out what that mix needs to be to serve our purpose, our mission, and our community. As well as those who do this type of work, burnout is very high. Any type of community organization work, you're going to have challenges with, mental health and the ability to have steadfast energy and devotion to the work. So, those are definitely some of the large challenges.
Awesome. Collaborating often leads to stronger outcomes. Are there any partnerships or alliances you're excited about for 2025?
Oh, let's see. We're interested in doing some more deep dive family work. We really want to sew into young boys and the brothers left behind. So we really want to do some new work in some new arenas as well as strengthen some of the work that we're already doing. So that's about as much as I can say about that one.
Uh, How does your organization plan to engage younger generations and bring them into this important conversation and work?
Yeah, I think that right now we've got a lot of things that are going on within the organization. Did you say specifically for youth? I'm sorry, remind me of the question.
How does your organization plan to engage younger generation and bring them into the importance conversation and work?
Yeah, so we've been in the works of talking about ways to engage youth to offer opportunities in a new landscape. And so we've been talking about doing some different social media campaigns and opportunities to teach around those things. And we're trying to make sure that we don't fall on deaf ears and that we are actually meeting children and youth where they're at versus
Mhm.
where we think that they're at. So we've been doing work, listening to mothers, listening to youth, listening to fathers, and trying to really take that information and build something that is most valuable.
Awesome. My last question, actually. What can our listeners do today to get involved, whether it's volunteering, donating, or advocate? How can they connect with your organization directly?
Yes, so for Rise, the Holiday Help Drive is definitely something we want to be extremely successful this year. So we would love your support and donations and unwrapped toys, coats, gifts, and things like that. We have locations all across Seattle. So showing up in the support for our Holiday Hope Drive would be absolutely amazing. Our website is www.riseforus.org, which is RISE, the number four, US.org, O-R-G. And you can find all of the information there, as well as if there are families that are victims of gun violence and have been impacted, we want to make sure that we're servicing you as well. So if you could make sure that you're coming to our website and registering, because we've got a holiday hope drive on the 20th. That is going to be a self-care event to really advocate for the nurturing of the caregivers that care for children who have lost a parent. So this is a time for you to come and receive some of that joy before the kids get out of school and everything like that. So, twofold ways that people can get involved.
Great, that is awesome. So yes, let's support Rise. It's a great organization. I came last year to the event, and it's powerful. It's just to let the families know, and brothers, sisters, cousins, and aunties, they're not alone. There's organizations out here like Rise. It's there for you guys if you need someone to talk to, if you need help. There are organizations that will help you guys in your time of needs. Yes, Keisha, is there anything that you would like to ask me?
I think that it would be important to just highlight on this call for the people that may be listening what your organization does and how we got connected.
Well, I am with Mothers Impacted by Gun Violence. We started about 2 years ago. The mayor decided to do a pilot with 6 women that has lost kids due to gun violence. We are fresh. Me and Sawar are the founders of Mothers Impacted by Gun Violence. Gun Violent Mother Harriet has selected us to join us and do a couple of shows with the radio station and everything. And it's just we're out here trying to support families and mothers who has been impacted by gun violence. Like I said, you're not alone. The holiday seasons is really, really hard knowing that we have lost kids through gun violence.
Motion detected at front door.
Oops, apologies.
Someone was detected at your front door.
Sorry. Okay, love that. That was my only question for you. So no, I don't have any other questions outside of that.
So, what do you think about the community work? Not just speaking about rights, like the community on the gun violence.
I think that is a packed question. It's challenging because it's difficult because there are things that I feel being a community member here. And there's also, the reflection from being at Rise. And sometimes they do conflict because I think that sometimes we feel and see things in our community that are not reflected in the data that is shown at work. And so sometimes living in scenarios that you serve directly, like there are families that have endured gun violence, and it's difficult to reach out to families that it's difficult to challenge and process different things. So it makes you question some of the things that are kind of common and normal that should not be common and normal. So as a Black woman growing up in the CD, I have a lot of challenges for it. And, to be honest, because I think that it's a larger conversation, it's challenging to do the work to fix the problems of the people that you literally know. It's really hard because at the opposite end of a gun is a shooter. And sometimes you know them too. And so this landscape of fixing a problem of gun violence that's within our own community is challenging. And sometimes I even ask myself, like, are we really doing something that matters? And are we really calling out the things that we really should call out? And what are we really doing? And how does this landscape really work? So I think that from a nonprofit organization lens, I understand what is happening, but from I live in this community, it's difficult to feel value. So it's a conflict that I struggle with, being someone who works now directly for my community. It's a very big challenge to feel like I'm working in something that I don't know we can fix. And I don't know if what we're doing does fix it and help. And is that our responsibility? And how do we really do that? So those are all questions that make it challenging to do this work, because you can start to feel powerless. And then you can also try to feel like you're trying to do too much. And how do you do so much? So, which if, that's your job.
Yes. Hello?
Possible. So it's hard. It's very interesting. It really is.
Great. That was great. But how do you feel like, how can I ask this question? So how do you feel that when a Black or brown person call and ask for help, how do you feel that we are getting help?
How do I feel when Black and brown people are calling to receive help? Is that the question?
Yes. And we don't receive the help that we think that we need. What can you advise the listeners of? What do you think about that?
I think when they're calling like our organization or when they're calling like be a little more specific so I can make sure I'm answering in the
If
right.
we're with the law, with the police.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so when we're calling the police and we're not receiving the service and the help that we need, how do I feel about that?
Yes.
Okay. I think that is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is terrible. Um, that, however, is not my area of expertise. So I only have a personal opinion on that. I don't know the data and statistics around that.
Well, you can
And
tell us your personal opinion. That's fine. That's what we're here for. We're having a conversation.
and I almost believe that like my personal opinion, and Patrice, my personal opinion is my personal evidence on police has been contrary to what has been normalized around it. And what I'm communicating is I've actually had the police come to my home and like save people in my home probably 10 times.
Oh, wow.
Right. So I don't feel personally that the police have um let me down as far as response rates. Like Patrice, honestly, every time that I'm in the car and I hear an ambulance or a police driving by, I pray
Mm-hmm.
that they get wherever they're going quick enough because
Yes.
I have experienced them getting there in just enough time. And
Yes.
so I can't personally say that I have a traditional or typical narrative around police, which is that, they're taking a long time and all of those things. Like, no, I've seen police literally save people's lives for me. Um, so, and even like in the case of, I'll talk in murder specifically, like that was a piece of the narrative that I really needed to understand was the response time for the police when my dad got shot. Like I really wanted to understand how long did it take the police to get there? And was that enough time? Because we do understand that in Black and Brown communities, there is a correlation between death rates and the time that it takes for people to get help. So
Yes.
that is a statistic that I even looked into in the case of my father. And even in his case, it wasn't actually a statistic that played a part in his tragedy. And so for me, in the tragedies that I have seen, that hasn't been a factor that has impacted it. And I'm honestly very grateful that the police have been able to come and save like some people very close to me. So yeah.
That is awesome. Well, I don't have any like real issues with, the police and calling 911. I just wanted to see how do you feel because, nowadays they will say, well, the police didn't come quick enough. And if they would have came quick enough, this and that wouldn't have happened and everything. Because I haven't had any real issues with, the law of not responding fast enough for myself. Like I said, like when my children passed away, it seemed like they was like right there, but it's just like that bullet had their name on it at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you feel about, let me see, how can I put this question in? Because I'm just going outside. How do you feel about, I actually want to say everything. How do you feel about, just promoting, gun safety?
Oh my gosh, that is a crazy heated question because it is not a comfortable thing to do. And I just had a conversation with our executive director around our stance on gun safety.
Mm-hmm.
Because I said, well, if we're having a holiday hope drive, we were offered the chance to hand out gun lock boxes.
Right.
And I said, well, if this event is created to give hope to the kids that have lost their parents to gun violence, I understand supporting pro-gun safety by providing a safer mechanism to hide and to have the gun in your home. However, that can be really triggering also.
Yes.
So it's very difficult to try to incorporate gun safety also in grief and joy work, because you're literally trying to provide. It's almost like if your mother is on drugs and you're trying to soothe the child by saying, but we're letting your mom do it safely now.
Right.
It doesn't help the child. And so, as an organization that is here to support the child and the family left behind from the trauma of a gun, it's difficult to incorporate in the promotion of safety of a device that is literally the cause of a growing organization that, if society was operating how it should never even be needed.
Right. I
So
agree.
it's very challenging. And we literally just had this conversation because I don't have a good answer for it. And I
Mm-hmm.
understand how people's stance on gun safety is very personal.
Right.
And I'm in an organization and in an industry where we are here because of guns. But you
Mm-hmm.
cannot ask people to not have guns, or can you? And then you can't, if they have them because you want to meet people where they're at, if they
Yep.
have them, are you then adding to a problem by providing a safe place for it?
Right.
So there are a lot of complications to this. There's a lot of things you can't talk about on record, right? We can't talk
Yeah.
about the under the table guns happening, because are these murders happening from guns that are in lockboxes? Like, are these murders happening from registered guns? These guns are happening, these deaths are happening from guns that are probably not registered and not being carried by people that want lockboxes anyways.
Right.
So it's like we're providing a band-aid for the population that's not the problem. And I think that could depend on the type of organization. However, in the organization that I'm at, our typical constituent is not a suicide prevention. If this
Mm-hmm.
was a suicide prevention organization, there's a whole connection to safety around where the gun is kept is a huge indicator for that organization. For my organization, Patrice, I can't really say that the where the gun was kept was the problem.
Right.
And so gun safety is not the problem. That's not the problem. And so I get it and I talk about it and I see, like, yeah, that's something we should be talking about. But gun safety is not the problem, because the guns that they have already ain't safe. How did they get the guns in the first place?
Exactly.
So to
That's
talk about safety is like, what does that look like? These are 13-year-old kids that are killing each other. So gun safety, what is that, a class? Why would they take that?
exactly.
So gun safety for the people that are already trying to be safe, yes, it's a value add, but it's not solving the problem that we're all here at work to solve. It's not. Like, it's just not. So it's hard. It's hard. It's hard because in this work, we're dealing with real lives. Like, we're dealing with real lives. We're dealing with real people. We're dealing with real children. And I was one of those real children. And so when we're doing things, I'm often thinking about, like, how would I feel as a child of this? If I came up to me as a kid and said, hey, little Keisha, we know that your dad was murdered, so here we are to do X, Y, and Z. That
Yes.
could come off really well, or it could come off really crazy. One or the other, right? And so it's
I
like,
I
you,
totally get it. I talked to my two, I have a 19-year-old and a 17-year-old, and we discuss guns, violence, and how do they feel about guns, and they don't like them. They can't even like endure half the time 4th of July, knowing that we had our house shot up a couple of times, and their brothers and sisters are, victims of gun violence. And it's hard as a child to endure that.
right.
It really is.
And so I almost would ask the question of, like, and I bring this up to Lanaya often, and part of my goal in coming in with Rise is to elevate the way that we service our families, because it's we have to pivot our people to joy. We have to remove the trauma elements. To me, seeing a stack of lock boxes for a gun at a holiday time is traumatizing. To me, as a child who may not have ever actually seen a gun, because again, if we're servicing these kids, some of these kids that have lost their fathers to gun violence have never seen a gun.
Right.
So then to have them in a space where you're providing a safe mechanism for guns can open up some questions for a family that I don't know that every family is ready to answer.
That's awesome. Like, because I know I've been on both sides, losing parent, not losing parent to gun violence, but seeing the struggle of a child that cannot talk to their dad or their mother at all. I've been on that side losing kids due to gun violence. And my thing is, when will it stop? This has to stop. And I'm so happy that you guys have this organization, to help and guide them and comfort them in the right way they should go. Because it's getting ridiculous out here. It's really, like you said, I'm born and raised in the central area as well. And I know, as we was growing up, it's just has gotten worse and worse and worse. And the kids need a different outlet.
Yeah.
And we don't want them to be, another victim to society and having their parents or whoever is around them, looking at them in the jail cell. That's horrible. The rate of a juvenile right now that is going to be incarcerated is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think that, we could get even more involved in the juvenile system? What do you think about that?
I honestly
It's getting deep.
I honestly don't know. I don't know enough about juvenile at all, like literally at all. I know nothing about the juvenile system in a way to have an educated conversation on it at all. So I can't give an answer on that one.
That is great. Well, my opinion on that, I feel that there need to be more redirection instead of a slap on the wrist because of their age. I feel being living in New Orleans, Louisiana for 8 years and living in Houston, Texas, I've seen the difference in the Justice Department of what they do down south and what they do here in Washington. And it's totally different. If you commit a crime down there, they're going to make you, do your time. So what do you think, Isha? Anything else you want to ask me? Top of your head, go for it.
I don't have any questions on top of my head. What is coming up for you all in 2025, and how do you see that Rise may be able to work with you all towards some of those goals?
Well, we are trying to collab with a couple of organizations. We're going to get some physical sponsors. We're going to launch Mothers Impacted by Gun Violence to the community really, really soon. The dates will come out, and we will love for you guys to be a part of our experience. Yeah.
Okay, we look forward to hearing more about it.
So we should be going to a break soon. Am I right?
The Mother's Justice Show is brought to you by H.G. Walden and the Virtues Healing Circles. Join us for Wisdom and Wellness with Reverend Walden, a monthly virtual and in-person healing circle that focuses on community healing and growth. Learn more at virtueshealing.com. That's virtueshealing.com. Also, be sure to join our healing group on Facebook. Again, visit us at virtueshealing.com today.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the Mother Justice Alternative Talk Show. My name is Patrice Thomas. I'm with Mothers Impacted by Gun Violence. I am sitting in for Mother Harriet Walton. We had two guests. We already spoke with Keisha Credit with Rise, and now we're just going to have a good conversation with a mother that has lost a child through the gun violence. Her name is Shalani Barnett. Hi, Shalani. How are you?
I'm doing well, Patrice. Thank you for having me. How are you today?
I'm doing awesome. I'm doing awesome. Now, Shalani, tell us about yourself.
My son is Adriel Terrell Webb, and his life was taken on July the 20th of 2020. He was murdered in the Central District, and our lives have forever been changed and impacted by that. Adriel was everything to me from the time he was born until the time he left. He left his family and friends. He really loved anime, and he was always ready for a good meal, honey. My baby loves some good food. Um, Adriel has been, you know, my inspiration while he was here and also while he isn't. He has impacted my daily activism and work because his death is bigger than my ego. He keeps me humble, and he was impactful throughout his life to his family and friends. And so he will continue to be impactful throughout his death as well.
Awesome. I'm going to hit you with a couple of questions if you don't mind.
Sure, go for it.
What are some of the success you have had in the past year, and how do you measure the impact of your work in the community?
I really can't call it a success, unfortunately, with the rate that these young men are being murdered in Seattle, Washington, specifically young Black men. I really can't say that anyone has had a success. Some of the works that I've done, I was a
Yeah.
part of Mothers Impacted by Gun Violence, the original 6 mothers chosen by the mayor's group. But just sadly, I just don't really feel as though, there's always that name is being slapped and thrown on things, gun violent activists and gun violence awareness and programs, but I don't really see a lot of movement here, sadly. So the group that I am with now, or a part of now, is families that are impacted by gun violence, and we're just here to be supportive. And so I guess that is what has been successful for me throughout this past year or since Adriel's death in 2020. It's just being able to be there for people in a way that I wish that those resources were made to me.
Right. Awesome. What are some of your challenges that you
Um,
have
my
faced?
hugest challenge is my son's not being here. I have a grandson that
Mhm.
he made unbeknownst to us before his murder. And so I have a grandson that won't get to meet the amazing creator who was his father. That is very hard for me. Also, here in Washington State, something that I've been challenged with is, at times I'm unable to see my grandson. And so grandparents don't have rights here in Washington, or I believe that up until most recently, grandparents have not had rights here in Washington State. So those have been some challenges that I've gone through since my son's death. You just can't. You're unable to prepare for such because it isn't something that I've ever gone through before.
What are some of the support that you feel that the community can help you with?
Support that I feel that people or families or mothers could use that have been impacted by gun violence is um, solidarity, community, a village to raise a child, and even in understanding that even as adults, some of us are still children, and we still need that village. That is what is missing. We've forgotten about community in a time where it is most needed. We are still a community. Each one can very well teach one, and we should be prepared and willing to do so at any given moment.
Hello, Shalani.
Yes.
Sorry about that. Got lost. What are some of the support that you feel that you are facing, or what do you need help with?
I believe some challenges that are here in the community that could be more ever present for families and women that have been impacted by gun violences. There are challenges with bills. There are challenges with maintaining a job. There are challenges. There are so many challenges that I have faced after the loss of my son, and that I just wasn't prepared with. But also that there was not anywhere that I could turn for that help. So I just think that the community should look at this opportunity, because it truly is. It's an opportunity to be more heartfelt and to be more present in the community in the way that you reach back. Just treat people how you would truly want to be treated, as well as just having an open heart, open mind, and open ears. It's truly been a blessing for me to have and to be able to receive those things as well.
That is so awesome. How do you engage in the younger generation and to bring them into the important conversation that we're having and work?
By being honest. The youth are not stupid, they are not blind, and we cannot pretend that they are any of those things. The way to prepare them, or at least gain their acknowledgement of what is going on, is just by simply keeping them on the forefront. You have to let them know. Unfortunately, at this day and age in Seattle, it isn't safe. You need to be aware of your surroundings. Go in groups, in numbers. Be with people that are willing to leave when you have to leave. Just being safe, and letting them know that if they don't feel safe, that they can leave, or if they don't feel safe, that there's somewhere to report that to. So I just believe in being present and letting them know what is, unfortunately ever changing here in Seattle.
That is awesome, because it's really hard. Like, we have walked this walk together, and just I feel that there should be a little more support system. What do you feel about that?
Well, there should be a lot more support system at this rate, when the deaths are piling up at such an alarming rate, right? There shouldn't be a little. We don't need a little, we need a lot. And so because we've been receiving so little, or because so little has been being done, this is how we have ended up in the circumstance / predicament that we are in. This deserves a ton of attention. This deserves a ton of time and space, because it isn't going anywhere. And we need the community to chime in order for it to even change. Not for it to go away, but for us to even be aware of this. It needs to stay in our faces, just as it has been. Are
there any questions that you would like to ask me, Shalani?
I don't. Not at this time.
So how do you feel that our community is doing right now in the walk of hearing our voices, of being mothers that have been impacted by the gun violence in the families?
I mean, I feel powerful and impactful in the way that everyone may not be listening, but I know that someone is, and as long as someone hears my son's story and hear Adriel Terrell Webb's name, then they will understand and realize that doesn't have to happen to their son. That doesn't have to happen to their grandson, to their nephew. That doesn't have to happen in their family. It doesn't have to happen. And that's what I want everybody to know. Gun violence, although we may be many light years out from changing it, it starts with us. It starts in each and every one of our homes. It starts at home. It starts with you as a parent. It starts with you as an aunt or a grandparent. It starts with you. Please raise awareness in our community by letting these kids know they don't have to resort to guns. They don't have to resort to violence. We love them here in this community. That's what we need to let them know.
Awesome. And is there anything that you are planning for 2025? Like anything that, that we could support, or
my movement from Adriel's death until mine is to end gun violence. Okay. That's my movement. And my son's case is still unsolved. And so That has much to do with my appearance here today on your show. I wanted to highlight the fact that tomorrow I will be appearing with David Rose on Q13 Fox News
Yeah.
at 10:30, and then for a spotlight, excuse me, at 10 p.m. tomorrow, and then for a spotlight on Friday at 10:30. Crime Stoppers will be offering $1,000 reward in regards to Adriel's murder and any information being offered. And so that's what I'm planning, or have planned for the rest of my life, is to be, on the forefront of gun violence, because it has to stop.
And that'll be at 10 o'clock.
Yes, that's correct. Tomorrow at 10 and on Friday at 10:30.
And what channel will that be on?
Q13 Fox News with David Rose.
Okay. Well, thank you, ladies, for coming and participating. We appreciate it for all the awareness that we have learned and heard today. And remind everyone that Rise is having their annual Christmas toy drive on the 20th. And let's support them in a big way. Let's support the children that need, more support. And thank you, Shalani, for so much for joining us. I'm going to remind everybody that her story will be on Crime Stopper tomorrow at 10 p.m. 13 Fox. And it was great for you guys coming on the show with me, just to hear your voice and just for having this good conversation. Again, my name is Patrice Thomas. We're with the Mother Justice Show, and I am your host today, Mother Harriet. Taking over for Mother Harriet, 1050 Alternative Talk Radio. We're going to have another break, and thank you, ladies, for coming.
Thank you for having me.
The Mother's Justice Show is brought to you by H.G. Walden and the Virtues Healing Circles. Join us for Wisdom and Wellness with Reverend Walden, a monthly virtual and in-person healing circle that focuses on community healing and growth. Learn more at virtueshealing.com. That's virtueshealing.com. Also, be sure to join our healing group on Facebook. Again, visit us at virtueshealing.com today.
Well, thank you for tuning back in. My name is Patrice Thomas. I am covering for Mother Harriet Walden. We would like to just let everyone know about Rise again. Their annual on the 20th. And let's support and Shalani with the Crime Stoppers. And we will be having another show in a couple of weeks. And happy holidays, happy New Year's, and all that good stuff. And thanks for tuning in. You're listening to the Mother's Justice Show on Alternative Talk Radio, 11:50 a.m. Thanks, and have a blessed day.